Muspelheim, Niflheim and Jotunheim. What do I think they are? Before I explain myself, I'd like to thank the Antlered One for making a video on this topic and creating discussion. The reason I began making YouTube videos originally was to discuss some things such as this, to discuss mythology and spirituality and share my personal points of view and experiences. So I'd like to thank the Antlered One for that. Now my interpretation of this is a little different, but it doesn't make what he said redundant whatsoever. In fact, it probably, if anything, helps support it. But I always thought of the stories of Ginnungagap, Muspelheim, Niflheim, Jotunheim, all these things as ways of explaining cosmic creation and the creation of the earth with being congruent with that of what mainstream science would have us believe is the origins of the earth and how it was created, which would be ice and fire giants colliding, doing battle. The earth, in the primordial earth, being a ball of molten iron colliding with a comet. What is a comet but an ice giant, a literal ice giant? I don't see why giants, in this sense, Jotun, would have to be in any way humanoid or personified as anything human. I think that's probably, if anything, a little bit potentially New Agey. This whole interpretation could just be New Age nonsense and me being a brainlet, not understanding the one truth about what these myths really are. But this is something that I just thought when I read these stories, and I didn't think too much more about it because I thought it was quite obvious. But maybe this is a distraction. Maybe this is something to keep children from understanding the true meanings, because that would somehow be productive. But I don't see how that would work. Maybe I am just a child. But yes, fire and ice giants colliding in cosmic primordial space. Now, as far as the Jotuns go, that would be things like asteroids, asters, or meteors, literal giants compared to our pitiful existence as humans on this earth. Now, this could be, again, an addition to the creation of the earth. If it began as something like I said, a comet and a molten ball of iron colliding to create the fundamental foundations for what later becomes Earth, colliding or being impacted again by an asteroid or even just a large meteorite. This would lend credence to the idea of panspermia. This would be another instigator for the creation of further life on the planet. Something just beyond fire and ice or fire and water. Whatever this foreign substance may be that has come from elsewhere, and I don't know where it all came from, but this is just an idea. A harmless idea for discussion. Me not claiming to be an authority on something, but I think this is clearly what it is meant to be. And like the Antlered One said, this also then leads towards things like the creation of life on Earth once it's established. I don't see these two ideas being incongruent, but if anything, I think they support each other. The incarnation, the personification of Surt, the fire deity, if you will, being volcanic interactions on Earth. It's the same thing as the molten iron, fire. I think this is fine. I think this is great. It could somewhat conflict with the idea then of Odin, Vili and Ve creating the world through slaying the giant Ymir. But then what is Ymir? What Ymir perhaps could be the later asteroid, perhaps, and thus creating the conscious existence of what would end up manifesting in us as human beings, potentially. I personally tend to think of Odin, Villian, Bay more of expressions of internal mental capacity, expressions of the self. I won't go too much into that in this video. That might stimulate another video, another one about Odin. Huh. How exciting. How ecstatic. But anyway, that's my 2 shekels worth on the matter, and I'd like to thank the Antlered One for creating discussion of value. I don't see any harm in this, and I think it's great. Like I said, this is the reason I came here in the first place. I've got no regrets for deviating from my original purpose on the channel. I think it's all relevant, and I think it's all important, some of the other topics that I've gone into on this channel. It's all part of an holistic worldview and experience and survival and an expression. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you like this channel, this video and this channel. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening. And check out Heimdall's Home. These guys are doing good things by just creating healthy discussions without being a toxic environment within the pagan online community, which is a pleasant thing, a breath of fresh air. So good on those guys. Well done. Thanks for listening.